My name is SuKha. Hold on. My name is SuKha, and I'm like a multidisciplinary artist. So I started off with making clothes. I like styling. And then recently, about a year ago, I started making music. And I just released my first mixtape called The Ugly Brown Girl Mixtape 2020 on February 1st. I came up with The Ugly Brown Girl like a while ago, like 4 years ago. It was on my Instagram, like on my name bar, it was always The Ugly Brown Girl. And it was pretty much a play on, I started with self-portrait photography. So I would style myself and then do self-portrait photography, and that's where the concept came from. It was redefining beauty standards. That's what it initially started off with. And then over the years, when I thought about it deeper, and I think the word ugly has so many definitions. It has to do with a lot of my own insecurities reflecting in my actions as well. As a human being, we are very ugly. We don't want to admit it, but there are many aspects of us which are really ugly. So it highlights that portion. Also, when I express myself, I don't express the nice things about myself. And even in my music right now, I like expressing things that are shameful, things that are sinful, things that are not okay. So I like to talk about the ugly things in the world and ugly things about myself and my expressions. Oh, there's so much I can say about it, so much more. And also being ugly is also kind of like a freedom, where beauty is a collective consensus on what should be beautiful. You know, it's like an agreement, like a weird agreement in society that this is considered beautiful and this is not considered beautiful, right? So being ugly is like being this variant. You're free. You're free from those, free from anyone caring about you, because, you know, you quote unquote are not worth enough. But in my eyes, that's freedom, because whatever you do, nobody cares about you. You can do whatever you want, be whoever you want if you're ugly. But that's how I saw it. But there's so much more I can say, but I think this works. Well, my mixtape that I released, it starts with R&B, and then it does a little bit of jazz, and then it does like this weird R&B trap mixy thing, and then it goes super trap. So, so really I range from R&B, jazz, and trap, but I grew up with heavy metal. Like when I was really young, I used to watch a lot of Bollywood with my mom. I was super inspired by the cinematography and the creative directing, and it's like, oh, so much work used to go into just the music and the aesthetic. Like they would travel to other countries to shoot it, like type of thing, to get that aesthetic. And I'm really inspired by how far they would go to make the art look its best, even if it was for like 2 minutes, right? So that was when I was younger. And then when I immigrated to Canada, and I faced like bullying and stuff like that, I just wanted to be different, like purposely, because I hated everyone. So that's when I got into heavy metal. But contrary to the stereotypes, heavy metal is not about hating the world. It was a lot of activism music. Like the stereotype is that it's suicidal. It's really not at all. It saved me actually from being suicidal. And it was all about activism. I used to listen to a lot of really strong voices, like System of a Down was a super activist group, but they weren't very heavy metal, but still a huge influence in my life. And then I used to listen to a lot of progressive metal, which was like Opeth. So, and then when I grew up more grown, I started listening to more trap, and I love the trap vibe, where you literally, the energy is you can't fuck with me, right? And that energy is missing in heavy metal. In heavy metal, it's like, that energy is not there. But then I feel like I really have that energy, especially growing up in Scarborough, right? Like, you come and you just are that bitch, you know? Like, you are here. And I love that energy in trap. So I like to combine that trap, you know, like feeling with like heavy metal. You know what I'm saying? Like that, I really, 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 really like that. I think confidence is something I always had, even though I was really insecure all my life, like very, very, very insecure. But I was always just, it's really dark. Like my reasons are very dark, but I think it came from a place of, you know, when you have serious anxiety, it feels like you're dying. Or have you heard of that? Where people explain their anxiety as like, oh, they're so anxious, they feel like they're gonna die, right? So, except like, I feel like, oh my God, I don't know, I think this is trigger warning maybe, but like, I was very suicidal at some point in my life, but then instead of expressing it through a blade or pills, I expressed that through facing my, like going through with the anxiety. Because in my head, it's like, oh, if I just go through with this, I'm gonna die, right? But then that became, it's kind of like, and then that became like a driving force towards exploring new boundaries. And then I never ended up dying. I lived through everything, because really not that deep. You know what I'm saying? But in your head, everything, especially when you're young, everything seems like it's really gonna hurt you and your world is gonna end. But it doesn't. And I continue to explore that as I grow up. And then you fear less, you fear less, you fear less. But that's what it started off with. You just have to face your fear, and then as you keep doing it, you fear less, because you're kind of like doing a checklist. Like, okay, I used to fear that, not anymore. I used to fear that, and then the list just keeps getting smaller and smaller. So another thing I forgot to mention about the Ugly Brown Girl was how, like, there's a huge political atmosphere around Muslims. So I really talk about being Muslim a lot, because it's really strange to me that we put, especially when Islam as a religion is a philosophy, right? Like, you can't look at someone and know if they actually believe in it or not, right? But the fact that we apply physical aspects, you know, or physical labels or logos to associate someone's belief with it is really strange to me. I never understood that. And I think there are a lot of stereotypes and a strong misunderstanding of how a Muslim woman should act and behave. So I get that question a lot, like, oh, because you're doing this, aren't you supposed to be like this? Isn't this how you're supposed to do it, but you're not doing it like that? I get that a lot. But like I said, it's like, for me, it's just like ticking the boxes off of my checklist. Like, it doesn't bother me. It doesn't matter to me, because I know that you cannot look at someone and know what's really going on in their head. And same with me. You can look at me, you can look at everything that I'm wearing and never know what I truly believe in. It does not stand for, yeah. But at the same time, that's where I started using clothing as a way to play with politics. Clothing is very political. As a woman especially, where we're highly sexualized or highly desexualized. Muslim women are either hypersexualized or desexualized. And I think that goes with a lot of POCs in general. But that's what I really like to play around with, where I purposely cover, but then I purposely make references to sexual innuendos, right? And I'm always playing with those things, and it really fucks with people's mind, especially men. Like, it really fucks up their mind, I found. And I'm just like really having fun in life, you know, instead of being depressed about my oppression from patriarchy. I'm lit. No, I'm clit. Okay guys, my name is SuKha. So SuKha, the K is capital, always remember that. My Instagram is SuKha Never Dies, because energy never dies, you know. And you can find my mixtape on all streaming platforms. It's called The Ugly Brown Girl Mixtape 2020.